Hello, very good evening to you, and welcome to the locker room. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened to the introduction there. Maybe it was me actually. I was messing about. I was speaking to the guys, and they put me off. But if you want to hear the introduction, here you go.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
There you go. That's better. I'm not. We're not doing the show back to front. If we are, because I moved to Australia and done the whole show there. So welcome to the show. I'll do that again, and welcome to the locker room on this Friday evening. With myself, Michael, and also we've got Alaska and Reagan as well, and we're here until 7 o'clock tonight. So get your comments coming in. It's a big weekend in the Scottish Cup. And it's a big weekend in the oval ball as well. And the rugby, as I say. And so we want to hear your comments. Well, we want to see them anyway. We're on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch, whatever Twitch is. We are on until 7 o'clock, and also I'll be asking the guys. Let's get Des Rots coming on, so that must mean we're a bit of it into injury time on the show. We are asking people for their predictions of the weekend and their shocks of the round, guys. So if you want to get your thinking caps on and tell me who will be the shock of the weekend as well. So and then you can let us know in the chat about who's your shocks of the weekend will be as well. Hasper Scumber is basically coming in on YouTube and saying that tonight's match should be a cracker. Yeah. Yep. I was trying to think of a Robbie Buns poem to say Reagan, but it wasn't coming to me actually, you know, um, that's Alaska's second team, Air United, because it doesn't stay
Excuse me.
so far away as well. So before we get into talking about the guys, and I know every time Des is on the show, he wants to get away from VAR, and I know I put you on the spot last week about VAR as well, but I just wanted to touch upon it as well because I mentioned to you guys today that we should speak about it, about should it be in the Scottish Cup or shouldn't it be in the Scottish Cup. But last week, Dundee United has come out and basically condemned VAR, and also Stephen Robertson at his press conference on Wednesday was talking about VAR as well. And also a point that I made on the show, guys, a while ago, I don't know about Dez's take on this as well. Like the rest should be full time in Scotland, but that's up for debate as well. But I know we've got VR show called Blue in the Face and all that, Des. But I mean, more and more managers are coming out with like they should be full time. They should be doing things better. So, I mean, where do you stand in this, Des?
First one I'd like to say is thanks for the easy introduction. Flinging about 25 questions in one there, Michael.
Yeah.
Are you flinging 25 and hoping one sticks?
Or maybe none. I don't know.
maybe none. First of all, apologies for a couple of minutes late. I'm daddy daycare tonight. My wife is on her work's Christmas night out, so I'm dad, chief cook, bottle washer, and everything else. So apologies. With regards to VAR and the number of points that you raised there, which are all very valid, I'll take the point you're saying about referees being full time and would that make them better? You're not going to get full time referees in Scotland. It won't come around. The financial demands that would be made upon it purely don't justify making it. Now you've got to think of the pool of money that the SFA bring in compared to the English Premier League, and they obviously fund the PGMOL, who I believe Alice will probably tell him, but they've got 20 full-time referees. We couldn't do that. Now, obviously, if you think about it as well, the guys who are currently referees, the vast majority of them have got very, very good professions and earn decent money. And it's not even just about earning decent money. They've got a career path and they've got a career longevity and they've got a pension at the end of it as well. If you turn into a full-time referee, how long is that going to last? Is your current employer going to be waiting after 10 years to welcome you back in? It's very difficult. I also don't think that it would make them any more professional than they currently are, because these guys are committing a lot of hours to their own personal training, a lot of hours to helping develop other young referees. I don't really think that you would get... Would they be fitter? Possibly. Would they have more time to prepare for games? That's what I see the only benefit from it. They would have more time to prepare for games. But let's not forget, the SPFL guys, or certainly in the Premier League, if they have a game, well, all games are obviously very important, but if they're a game that's maybe a far travel, these guys are probably taking holidays, half-day holidays, etc., from their work, or having to work back time, etc., to get there. So they're showing a massive commitment already to service the game. They're not full-time, so it's on them. So I don't see the full-time route in refereeing. I think the closest we probably got was Craig Thompson a number of years ago, when he was working and his work allowed him to sort of take a 2.5-day week or whatever because of these European commitments. Willie Collin was given leeway from his local authority when he was teaching to go and do his European games. But you're really relying upon the generosity and the flexibility of your employer to have that.
Des, can I ask a question on that? My understanding a few years back was that referees were paid about, in Scotland that is, were paid about £800 a game, a bit more than that.
Just slightly more, yeah.
That's peanuts compared to what they get paid in other countries, I know, or some other countries. But one of the points you made there, which is, I think, relevant, is that people don't realise how much even the top grade referees give back into development of the rest of them. Could you explain how that works, please? Well,
if I go back to when I started, I mean, I was older when I started refereeing. I never took up refereeing until I was, 27 or so. And I went along to my local association area, which was Renfrewshire, still is Renfrewshire. I went along there and I was quite surprised that I'm training in Renfrew High School alongside guys that have got FIFA badges that I've seen on television doing European Champions League games and doing Celtic Rangers games. These guys are at training every week because it's part of their duties to fulfil as their Category 1 senior, or not even Category 1, but a senior listed contract of duties. You've also got your monthly meetings. So you've got your 4 nights training a month. You've got your monthly meetings. If you want to be seen as trying to progress, it's inevitable that you become involved on the committee within that association as well. So you take on other roles, whether it's president, secretary, treasurer, minor grade advisory panel. If you then get promoted, which also I was fortunate enough to do, it's then expected upon you. It's not asked. It's not written in verbatim, but it's expected that you will go along and watch younger referees on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, etc. Try and pass on advice to help them. You then have your phone calls that you do with the association to help the young people progress as well. And because that's what was afforded to me when I was coming up. So it's like it's an expectation, and it was never a chore for me. And you always want to see other people progress and better themselves. So there is a massive amount. And take aside that, when you become a senior listed referee, you also have your monthly meetings with the SFA, which I believe is now quarterly. You've got your fitness testing. It's almost like a second full-time job. Of course, the guys at the top level, and when we were at Category 1, you're well recompensed. But when you look at the hours that you've got your 37 and a half hours a week of work, you've got your training nights, you've got your own training that you have to commit as well, because you've got the polar data monitors that you have to submit to the SFA to show what you're doing outside. You've got to pass your fitness test. You've got to go along and try and help other young people progress. You've got your monthly meetings, you've got your training. It's vast amounts of time, Alistair, that these guys are putting in. And I really do. People think it's very easy that these referees earn X amount of money and they turn up for 90 minutes on Saturday. The 90 minutes on Saturday is the least of your worries a lot of the time.
Before we move on to actually talk about football, because there's actually football on tonight, Reagan. It's my fault. I've opened the can of worms, but I like to open a can of worms. That's how I can afford to eat these days. But Graham, it's always nice to see people watching the show on, in the motor or the motorbike. But tonight, Reagan, the show's on a bus. Yeah, I've been called many things in my life, but never a bus. But we'll move swiftly on. I suppose, Des, this is a quick question for you before we move on. Honestly, this is the last point. Is Graham would like to know who is on the independent panel.
If anybody heard any of the comments I made earlier in the week, we're talking to.
Yeah, I did say that. There's on some other place.
I spoke with a national paper. The KMI independent review panel is meant to be independent. Is independent of the SFA. Nobody knows. You could have Count Dracula in there. Nobody knows. I can guarantee you one thing, right? And this is maybe a shock exclusive for the show. I can guarantee you one thing. It's not me, right? I'm not involved.
I'm surprised to get that. There, I thought it was, but
I think the SFA must have. I think the SFA must have lost my address in the post somewhere.
Is it actually? I mean, I know you don't. Nobody knows, but do we know if it's actually former referees or players? We don't even know that.
So I don't officially know anything. Right? I don't officially know. I have heard, and I did in this. I heard this maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know, so I would never state it. And I seen a publication make reference to it today. But from what I've heard, that there is media people involved. There are ex-players involved.
Not me.
You're an ex-player, Michael.
I say nothing. Des.
But like me, that's why I can join these podcasts now. From what I've heard, that there are people involved who were involved in football, but surprisingly for me, I've heard a couple of names mentioned who are in social media and in broadcast media, working for some of the main broadcasters, none of whom have any. I mean, I think Dundee United's words were the best thing. There's people on this KMI panel who have a lack of significant experience of the laws of the game. How can they be making opinions? How can they be giving their opinion on something that they don't know the actual facts of what they're judging upon? It's like me going to a doctor, or any of us going to any specialist and saying, right, my car's timing belt's done, can you fix it for me? Oh, hold on, I'll go and get wee Sammy. He's a painter and decorator. He might be able to do it for you. That's pretty much what they're doing. If that's true.
Yeah, if that is true, that's really concerning, because as you say, most of the guys in the media, their knowledge of the laws could be written on a postage stamp with a whitewash brush.
Yes. And posted back to themselves.
Yeah, well, exactly. And from that point of view, that does concern me, because, and that maybe explains why why there's still so much controversy. But I'm conscious Mike will probably sort of metaphorically fire bullets at me across the screen if I don't go on shut about referees and VAR. I'd quite happily talk about it all night, but I'm conscious we've got to talk about football. What about the last thing I'm going to ask? Sorry, Mike, I'm going to ask just last thing. The Dundee United situation, does that change things, you think? Or
No. What it does is it just puts a seed of doubt, doesn't it? It just creates more of a doubt and more of a negativity towards VAR. Let's be honest, guys. VAR's not going to go away. I know Norway and Sweden have went down that route, which I applaud them. I've got no issue with that. But who are you going to? How are they? Are they going to outsource it? Of course they're not. They're going to use the SFA under the auspices of the SPFL. They appoint the referees. They appoint the VAR officials. They're not going to take that away. That's not going to happen. What I would like to see, and I think probably, and Steve and I have been very, very vocal on it and very forthright on it. I would like to see it go down the American football route where you go and watch it, they press a button and they explain the decision, rather than have this screen come up saying VAR checking potential penalty. What's the difference if they actually just press a button? The two guys are communicating. The people who are losing out are the people on the ground, the fans. The guys in the house watching television know far more what's going on than the people in the crowd, the people who are paying to be there. And I know the people at home are paying their subscriptions, but what's the issue with saying, okay, penalty kick, St Johnstone holding by number 5, Dundee. Done and dusted, you've explained your decision. People won't maybe like it, but at least you're giving a decision on why it's coming, and people have got an understanding of it. But for me, VAR's not going away. There's been far too much invested in it, far too much time, far too much money, far too much manpower. I don't see it. Do I think it's great? No. What I think has to be done, I think it should be stripped back again, and better training and better communication and less stramash going around it. When you hear some of the conversations in the VAR room, no wonder because the referees listen to them, and he's got 5-6 players around him and a crowd. I think it has to be managed and work better.
The Graham's asking about the Newcastle game on Wednesday, but to be honest, this is part of my fault, guys. But if we can maybe park that one to we have another VR show in about 10 years' time as well. Reagan, I wanted to get your thoughts on this, just because you're very quiet, and I know you love talking about VR, and I know that you're going along to the Celtic game tomorrow night against Ray Rovers, and I presume that St Johnstone and Hamilton, St Johnstone won't buy VAR for the game. I don't think. I'm trying to look about who's bought VAR for the game. That I think it will be most of the games that's on the TV. But in terms of like VAR, Reagan, I was listening to Cam Davison this week, and he was talking to the media on Wednesday again about the game in Rangers on Sunday afternoon, and he was saying about we've been actually spending the best part of like 2 or 3 days playing a bounce game, but using VAR at the same time. So my kind of point is, and I would be interested to know what Des feels about this as well, that if you are going to use VAR, why not just leave it until the semi-final and the final? Don't bring it in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup, Reagan. And don't forget, if this game was at Hampden, I don't think Queen's Park would have had the budget to buy it in for just for one game.
I think the thing about VAR being brought in for some games, but not all games, I think it also makes it look a bit stupid for me, because surely if you're going to do it for all matches, I'd do it for no matches. I do agree with what you're saying. If you're not going to do it for all the competition, then don't do it for some matches and not for other matches, because then you are setting a precedent that some matches are more important than others. Just because Celtic are able to afford it, but St Johnstone don't want to pay it again at their Scottish Cup match tomorrow. I personally feel that it should be brought in for the quarter semis and finals if that is possible. But I do understand what you mean. Like it shouldn't just be brought in for the teams that can possibly afford it.
I think I will be quite happy going to the game tomorrow and there's no VAR because I'm presuming St Johnson's not got VAR, well, not book it in for the game. If it was on the TV, then you would have to say yeah, but because the game's it's not on the TV, I don't think they would have bought VAR for this game.
Well, they've obviously got the facilities there all the time because they have to pay for it for the league games, so they'll be there. But I actually don't know. I would guess not, because certainly the Motherwell game, it wasn't there. The Motherwell Cup game, it wasn't there. So, yes, I'll be absolutely delighted because
I think it's sorry, I think it's optional between the clubs because I remember last season that Livingston was playing a game. In fact, I think it was against Murrow in the Scottish Cup. They never book it either, so it's kind of like well, I wouldn't like to say optional, but you know, and maybe St Johnstone has went down that route as well.
I think in general terms, most clubs, if they don't have to spend money, they won't. I mean, Des talked earlier on about the cost of, the costs that are involved with refereeing and all that kind of stuff, and the amount of money it costs to basically put on the referees. You look at the cost of running a club. Bear in mind that in April, all clubs are going to get landed with the NICs, and that's going to significantly increase. That'll apply to referees' costs as well, I'm sure, Des. I presume it does. So that's yet more money that the game's got to find. So clubs are going to look at this and go, look, if we don't have to use it, we won't do it if it's going to save us money. In terms of your question to Reagan about, having it, I agree with Reagan. It should be a level playing field. Bringing it through halfway through the season, I thought was daft. They should have started so it was consistent throughout. And my personal belief, if you'd actually say, here's a tournament, it's simply not fair if some clubs have VAR and others don't. So I would say, right, for the whole tournament, we don't have VAR. Because you might end. Let's say you ended up. Let's say Wraith beat Celtic and get to the final, which is unlikely. But let's say they do. They haven't got that experience. You talked about Callum at Queen's Park trying to get his guys used to it. That's simply a disadvantage, which has got nothing to do with football. Therefore, I would say set the rules at the start of the season, whether it's the league or the cup or whatever else. We know in the league we've got it, fine. In the cup, if we haven't got it for one, it shouldn't be for anybody. Or if you're going to have it for one, everybody's got to have it. We can't afford it.
There we go. Des, you'll be a happy man, but not really talk about VR now. That was part of my fault. But I thought we'd just bring it up because Stephen Robertson mentioned it on Wednesday as well. So let's move on to talk about football, and that's what we're here for.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry to step in there. I am entirely in agreement, and we said this right from the start. When VAR was brought in the October, when it was brought in, it totally changes the landscape of the game because games had already taken place from the August, and how the game was refereed and officiated from the August to October is entirely different from October going forward. So teams would be disadvantaged unfairly because what might have been seen as a foul or what might have been seen as an opportunity in August is not there in March. And what I would say as well, a national cup competition, when you start out, whether you are Brora Rangers or Bucky Thistle, you should have the same opportunity to win that cup, whether you're St Johnstone, Falkirk, Celtic, Rangers, whoever. For me, the only time VAR should be involved in a national competition is when the two games are played at Hampden, which is specifically set up to host that facility. And then all four teams have made their way to that point in the competition, have the same equal opportunity of the same decision being made for and against, and to win a national competition. It's ludicrous how you can have a national competition that operates under two different auspices.
Okay, let's look at the football this weekend. There's a game on tonight. So I'm going to maybe call this the Scott Brown Derby, Reagan. The Ayr United against Hibs. That's going to be a cracking game. Tomorrow night, tomorrow we have got Dundee against Airdrie, Livingston against Cove Rangers, St Johnstone against Hamilton, and 5:30 kickoff Premier Sports game, Celtic, against Red Rose. And on Sunday, we have got a game between Aberdeen and Dunfermline. It's going to be overshadowed by basically the sad passing of Jimmy Calderwood, and I think that both fans will do something special at that game. So that's a half 12 kickoff. Half 3 o'clock kickoff. Rangers against Queen's Park, and then Monday night we have got St Mirren against Hearts, and in the Championship, small matter of the game tomorrow, at Falkirk against Packet Thistle. These are the games this weekend in the Scottish Cup. Right, Reagan, what's your take on the game tonight? Ayr United against Hibs.
I'm very much looking forward to it, especially because it's two young managers as well, Scott Brown and Stephen Whitaker as well, up against David Gray, who's doing very well. So I think it'll be a great game. I think Scott Brown's team have got a very good chance, even though I think David Gray's done very, very well over the past few weeks. He's managed to turn things around, but yeah, I think this is going to be a great game for everybody to watch.
Yeah, and Des, after Scott Brown being the manager of the month as well, like he's actually took on the job, him and Stephen Whitaker, and it'll be interesting to see how they go on against a Premiership outfit tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the game. I think Scott Brown's been very fortunate that Ayr United have backed him, and he's been able to go in there and have a bit of budget and try and make a big effect on it. I can't remember the last time we ever were challenging it that high up in the league. It's quite interesting. I was reading earlier in the week that his son and David Gray's son both play in the same youth club, the youth team, and then they're playing tonight because I think the boys are training and they can't be there. I think this is probably the most intriguing game over the weekend. I think this has got a lot of interest in it. Hibernian, you would expect with the Premier League and both Cadden's on form, Martin Boyle, they've got a wee bit of wind beneath their wings at this moment in time. But there's just something in me. I don't think that Ayr United will go down lightly. I think this could be the upset of the day.
So, Des has went early actually. Shocking around 28 minutes past 5.
I'm going to, you realise now I'm going to be absolutely bombarded by Hibs fans giving me
the proclaimers and all that on. Yeah. Alistair, do you see any shocks tonight there, or do you think it's business as usual?
I would go a bit further and say it wouldn't necessarily be a shock. A couple of months ago, it certainly wouldn't have been. But the way Hibs are playing now, yes, it would be more of a shock. But Ayr are at home, and that ground is I know it's been developed a little bit, but it's a real traditional Scottish ground. So there'll be a brilliant atmosphere. I mean, I live about half an hour from here, and it's going to be really cold outside. I can tell you, looking, there's not a cloud in the sky. So if you are going, wrap up, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ayr won. I would not. And I wouldn't regard it as a massive shock. Nothing like, let's say Raith Rovers beat Celtic. That would be a shock, especially for Celtic. So I think, do you know what? I actually have no idea who's going to win this one. I know that you're not supposed to say that on these shows. I think you could toss a coin because they're at home. If it was Easter Road, I think Hibs would be the clear favourites. And I don't know what they are with the bookies, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ayr actually won this.
I think that's a good point, Reagan. Alistair Meg, Reagan, because if the game was at Easter Road, you would say, well, it's going to be a difficult game, but Hibs will come out on top. But just because of the tight parking and all that, and kind of like the atmosphere and the TV cameras and under the lights as well. I mean, look, we all know why they're covering the game because Scott Brown's at Ayr United and he used to be a legend at Hibs. But how do you see tonight's game going?
I think it'll be pretty close. I think I'll go for a draw and normal time to go to extra time. and maybe David Gray's side just to win in extra time. But I think it'll be a very close game. I think I don't think Ayr are top of the championship for no reason. I mean, we've spoken on this show for a number of weeks about Falkirk are a great team and stuff like that. So I think Ayr are going to be. I think they'll do very well tonight. But I think that quality that Des spoke about there of Boyle, obviously the two brothers as well, Rocky Bashiri, and people like that. I just think they'll be too strong. I think the longer the match goes, I think that quality from Boyle and Dwight will shine through. I think, like, even though I do think it'll be very close.
David Gray was talking to the media today, and they said they look forward to the game. It's going to be a difficult game, but we know that the challenge that Ayr United will be, especially at Somerset Park, and that's a thing because like everybody's expecting Hibs to be on a professional performance and win the game, but as you know, cup football, it's only one game, and as Simo Valakari said today, and we'll come on to him later, Alistair, but he pointed out the obvious: if you don't win, you're out the cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that Hibs could have had a worse draw than Ayr United. It's probably the one they didn't want. And I actually do think it is the one that Ayr United probably did want, because Scott Brown will have those guys fired up, absolutely fired up. And it's obviously their chance. Now, I've refereed at Somerset Park numerous times. The crowds that they're getting now, with the adaptations that have been made to the ground, it's loud, it's compact, it tends to be a pretty decent playing surface. But as Alison mentioned as well, it's cold, you can get a wind coming across it. I think this has got all the makings of a really, really good cup tie. And you'll get Scott Brown, throw Stephen Whittaker, two ex-Hibs legends against David Gray, both sets of fans right over it. I think this is going to be a massive, massive cup tie. But it's cup football. And all you need to do in cup football is win that game. It's not a league. It's 6-7 games. Win that one game, you're through to the next round, then you worry about the next one. So I'm really looking forward to watching this, and I can, as Alistair quite rightly pointed out, a couple of months ago, would you say it'd be an upset? No, because Hibs weren't a good run of form. I think if you put them now, and as Regan quite rightly said, Ayr United are top of the championship for a reason. So I think this is a game in the balance. I think the positives are for Ayr United. The negatives come from Hibs having to travel, having to come down to an unwelcoming place. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Glad I'm not refereeing it.
Michael, can I just ask a question again? You must have refereed some cup upsets in your time. What I'm just
the ones I turned up at.
What's it like? You've got a big team who are getting more and more angry because they're losing. It must be quite difficult, is it?
The difficulty is managing players' expectations, because players then get frustrated. And I don't know how many times I've had to run a park, and while you're not trying to coach, you're trying to manage in the game, and you're trying to say players, stand on your feet, don't dive in, or you're running by a captain and saying, look, tell him he's getting nothing left, he's getting nothing. Next one he sneezes on him, he's away. These are the bits that the supporters and the crowd don't see. While it might look as if a referee's having an easy game, he's not. He's working his socks off trying to keep 22 players on a park. Inevitably, you can only help the 22 players if the 22 players want to be helped. That's that. I'm trying to think of any big cup shocks. I can't really think of any that stick out the top of my mind. No, I don't think I've been involved in plenty of shocks with league games and stuff. But cup games are always special because everybody knows it's a one-off. It's like a boxing match, isn't it? The winner takes all. But I do. I always love my refereeing, but cup games are always a wee bit particularly special.
Regan, yeah, that would be a very exciting game if it goes all the way tonight. And you know, but yeah, it's good. Yeah, you would probably say this was a kind of old-fashioned cup tie. You would say, especially when Alaska was saying that a kind of old-fashioned kind of ground, even though they've built a stand opposite the main stand, I think it was. But yeah, it's got all the makings of a good game. Even though we've built it up, that'll probably be a boring 1-0 or something like that at the last minute. We always do that, Regan, or on the show.
I think it's good. I think because it's credit to Scott Brown as well, what he's done. Like Des said 5 minutes ago, I mean, it's not so long ago that I didn't think that obviously they'd be challenging right at the top of the table. But that's credit to Scott Brown and Stephen Whittaker. They've managed to go in there, they've managed to get the board to back them financially and go, right, we're going to actually do well here and try and do well in the league and do well in the Scottish Cup. So, no, fair play to them. And also, it's a place for Scott Brown to put his sale in the shop window as well. I'm not saying that he's going to be looking to go away from there. Obviously, we're hoping to get promoted this season. But if you can take a big victory tonight, then that could stand them in good stead to get a big job in the future.
There's Desi's phone going. The Hibs fans are giving them abuse in the game. No, even started yet. I wait till half time, Des, tonight. So that's the game tonight on the old BBC. Hibs against Hibs. So the Ayr United against Hibs. Quarter to kickoff. Right, let's talk about the second game of the Scottish Cup, and I think I tend to agree with Regan on this one. This could be my shock of the round. It is Dundee against
Dundee might win, you mean? You think Dundee might win, you mean?
Yeah, I mean 12-0 in the past two games. Who would have thought it?
Excuse me 2 seconds, because somebody's trying to call me. I must go and just tell them I'll call them later on.
Or maybe it's Hibs fan that's phoning Alaska. I don't know. Yeah, so we will let Alaska go and he will come back in a minute or two. But yeah, Regan, this could be my shock of the round. Dundee against Airdrie. I mean, who would have thought it last week? I mean, I thought Hearts would get been a difficult game for Dundee, but not 6 goals. And then on Wednesday night as well.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to watch both Dundee matches last week. I watched them play at home to Hearts, and then I was at the Celtic game during the week. Celtic and Dundee. I thought Dundee played well against Celtic for first half. They played really well. I don't know if you watched it, Des, but I thought Dundee did very well. And then second half, Celtic just showed their quality, and that just shows you what Celtic can do to any team. But yeah, I think this could potentially be a shock, just because the Airdrie have picked up a bit of form under Rhys McCabe again, and also because Dundee are now be kind of probably low in self-esteem and try to pick themselves back up. So it's a perfect opportunity for Rhys to try and get his boys through to a quarter final of the Scottish Cup. I think if Dundee play to what they're capable of, they could definitely get through. But I think because they've let in those 12 goals, like you said, I think they're going to be a bit vulnerable as well.
Yeah, I can understand your reasoning there, Regan. I can understand that. I just think that your teams are always going to get a couple of freak results through the year, and as you said, Celtic could go and do that to anybody in Scottish football. Let's be fair. The firepower and the quality in the squad. For me, I really like Rhys McCabe. I thought what he'd done with Airdrie last year was absolutely tremendous. I think he's had a sticky season this year. But for me, I think Tony Docherty is an excellent manager. I think he's an excellent coach. And I just think that Dundee, with Simon Murray up front, you've got wee Tiff, who I used to teach. I think Dundee won't sustain this sort of poor spell that they're having at this moment in time. And this is probably one of the best games that they could have. It takes away the pressure from the league. It takes away any pressure of where they're sitting. It's a one-off game, as I said earlier. A cup fight, a cup tie is like a boxing match. It's a one-off game. I think that Dundee, I'd be surprised if they get beat. Not taking this for, I don't expect this to be an upset. No, I think this is the perfect game that Dundee need to get back on track. And I think Dundee will have a convincing win tonight. I'm sure Tony Docherty will have them fired up.
I was just going to ask you guys, I'm just quite glad that Airdrie have not sacked Reece, because I think it's important when
Brilliant.
I think when the young managers when they go through a difficult spell, it's all about the board sticking by them and showing, right, well, everybody's going to have that difficult spell.
Of course they are. Whether you're a young manager or an experienced manager, every team goes through a spell. Airdrie has probably been a prolonged spell more than they've liked, but you've never really heard anyone shouting for Reece's head, and I think he's got to be given that time to develop his own man management skills. I mean, Reece is still playing in the team as well, as far as I'm still watching it. So yeah, I think all credit due to the Airdrie board. They're showing support, and I believe that Reece will go on to become a very, very good top flight manager, and I'm delighted to see Airdrie sticking by him. But as I still say, I think Dundee will win tonight.
Good evening to Norrie. He's watching on the show on X, as it's called now. He says, a great show, guys, and it's great you watching, Norrie. Thanks for watching as well. Alistair, what do you think about this game, Dundee against Airdrie?
Basically, I agree with what everybody said. I mean, talking to my good friend Stuart Murphy, who's a former chairman of Dundee, he's been pretty scunnered over the last couple of games for obvious reasons. And as Des says, you can get blips like that. I mean, I can think of another team who got beat 6-0 by Celtic fairly well this season. I think Dundee will win comfortably. I also agree about Rhys McCabe. I mean, a lot of St Johnstone fans wanted him as manager when Levine left. I think it was the right thing not to give him the job, because it would have been, quite frankly, take over a team that, well, you've seen what it's been. However, I think he probably will in time become, as you said, there's a good top flight manager. We played Airdrie in the Cup last year and we were not comfortably beaten, but we were beaten and they deserved to win. So I think they'll do all right, but I think Dundee will probably win by 2 or 3 goals, because they've absolutely got to put a performance in. If they were to lose, then the pressure would obviously ramp up. Not on Tony Dog, because I think he came 4th in the SFSA's fan awards for manager of the year, and obviously he was at Saints with Dell, and he's clearly a very good manager. And clubs, they're under so much pressure from the media, because they're desperately trying to look for a story and why, is he going to hang on? Isn't there pressure on him with the fans are on his back, all that kind of stuff. So it was great to see David Gray getting supported. Great to see Rhys McCabe getting supported. I know our manager, even if we get relegated, which is still quite likely, he'll get supported. By and large, clubs get rid of managers far too quickly. So it's good to see that. I still think Dundee will win, though.
Reagan, Graham makes an interesting point here, and I suppose that's on the thing about the January window, because players can sign pre-contract deals, and obviously Lyle Cameron has signed a deal with Rangers in the summer, and I know you can say about Tierney's coming to Celtic, but that's a different league, and I don't know if we'll get any game time between now and the end of the season. But the thing is, as well, right, if players sign for a competitive team in the same league, it's a bit iffy, because if they go into any kind of 50-50 balls and they go back, then you as a supporter would say, well, he's no one to get injured, because he's going to Rangers in the summer. I mean, how do you feel about players kind of like signing pre-contract deals?
I remember this happened a lot of times before, but I just think in general he's been a great player for Dundee. He's playing for Scotland under 21s and stuff like that. I don't think it'll affect him, and I don't think Tony Docherty would affect him either, because this is a guy that he's had to play well at Dundee to get his move to Rangers. So I don't think now that he's agreed that deal that he's going to sort of down tools, is a phrase people are using now. I don't think he's the type of guy that would do that. I think he's trying to get Steve Clark's planned for a couple of friendlies. I think also he probably sees the progression that he's able to make with Rangers as well, and you want to show the Rangers manager as well that he's made the correct choice of picking him from Dundee. I think it's a great bit of business for Rangers and for Dundee, because I did hear Tony Docherty saying that Dundee will get quite a bit of money for that. So I don't think he will play any different, because I think he'll know what Dundee is done for him. So I don't think he's one a type of guy that would sort of down tools, Michael.
But I mean, there's always a kind of thought in people's minds, especially football fans, and football fans are fickle, right enough. But you know what I mean there, like in terms of like if he goes in for a 50-50 ball tomorrow, or maybe in the game until the end of the season. And if he pulls out the last minute, then support will be going, he's not wanting to do that because he's going to a bigger club with bigger money and bigger supporters.
I can see where you're coming from there, and I can maybe get it partly, but you're not telling me that Lyle Cameron has only signed for Rangers on the 21st of December and he's not known about it for the past 2 or 3 months. This is not a deal these deals don't just happen. These are things that have been worked on. Rangers have obviously seen them at the start of the season. And let's be honest, it's been mooted. We've seen it in social media, we've seen it in newspapers, we've seen it in gossip columns, we've seen it about people talking. So Lyle Cameron has been under this potential microscope for the past while that he's potentially going to go to Rangers. For him not to play against Celtic the other day there, I can guarantee you this has probably been arranged since about mid-October, November at the earliest, and Lyle Cameron hadn't changed the way he was playing. Now that he's going to Rangers and it's all public, it's probably a bit of relief for the boy, to be fair. And he shouldn't be going out playing any differently. He should still go and carry on the way he does. Tony Docherty would be well aware of it as well, because Dundee would have been trying to get him to sign a new contract and he would have been rebuffing it all the time. So these are bits behind the scenes that we don't know. Do I see him pulling out of a challenge? I would certainly hope not, because he's only a young boy who surely the main focus and his priority should be, I want to play football. And he's wanting to play himself into Philip Clement's team. Did we see that happen with Connor Barron last year? No, Connor Barron still worked and played as hard as he could for Aberdeen before he transferred. I don't know the guy, right? But I certainly, as a manager, would think that if my best team that I can put out included Lyle Cameron, I would be playing him, because Dundee need to try and get as many points as they can in the league, because those points equal money. The extra money they can bring in through the league positions, they can then maybe potentially go and sign another player, not paying a fee, but having better wages to sustain their thing. So I'd be disappointed if the player took his foot off the gas and started to have another eye on where he's going. He's contracted to them. He's contracted Dundee. That's his employer. He should be going out there giving his all. And let's be honest, he's got the safety net knowing that he has a contract with another employer that's going to kick off the day after he leaves. So if it was me as a professional, in my opinion, I would have any significant difference in my approach and in my way that I would want to play the game, because I'm being looked after where I am. They've got me where I am, and I'm being looked after where I'm going. So my main priority should only be in the best interest of Dundee Football Club, and Tony Docherty should be picking me because I'm showing him in training that I'm the best player and you need me in your team.
And I think that Des makes a good point. There's probably a big thing for the boy now that it's now public. So now he can totally focus on Dundee. He doesn't have to worry about his agent talking to him, about football reporters talking to him. He can now focus on Dundee and trying to make it a positive end of the season. And I'm sure Tony Docherty said to him, look, thank you for your service, and hopefully we can get to the top six in the table, and also do a very good run in the Scottish Cup. So I think that's very important for him.
That's his professional duties. He's got to give his best with his current employers.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Alistair did this make about, you're employed by them, you get paid for them until the end of the season. So do a job that you did before October, before you started talking to Rangers and all the rest of it.
Well, it's an interesting point because, take it away from football. An awful lot of people who've got a job elsewhere do down tools. Other people don't. I tell you an entertaining story. Under Tommy Wright, when Saints were going for Europe, they were playing Aberdeen last game of the season, and we had to win. I think Chris Kane had scored. Anyway, cut a long story short, we'd signed Joe Shaughnessy on a pre-contract, and he wasn't really getting a game for Aberdeen, but he played in that game. And right towards the end of it, bear in mind he was a sort of full back at that time, he had this brilliant run through the midfield, fabulous shot, which pinged back off the bar. And Stephen Anderson ran up to him, and I won't use the words that Ando used, but basically said, what do you think you are doing? Because we were going to get into Europe, and Shaughnessy, of course, would have a chance to get into Europe. If we'd lost, he wouldn't have. So there's a guy being 100% professional. On the other hand, we've got Benji Kimbrough at St Johnstone just now, who's made it clear he wants to go, and if you speak to any St Johnstone fans, they'll tell you he's down tools. So I think it does depend on the individual. My understanding is Lyle Cameron's a Dundee boy who grew up supporting Dundee, so you'd hope that he would actually carry on doing. I suspect he will. The Dundee fans might not like that because, again, people tend not to like it when somebody says they're going somewhere else. Just ask Richard Foster what the Aberdeen fans said when he was going to Rangers, So I don't think you can actually... Well, I agree, yes, they should. Of course they should. You're under contract, but we all know that some people, whether it's football or not, they've got another job, they're almost expected to down tools. They shouldn't, but they do, unfortunately, because human beings being what they are, it's like, okay, I'm going to another job, it's more money, I'll look after myself. So I agree they shouldn't, but sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they do. And
one team who hasn't really done tools, I think they've done the opposite, Alistair, over the past couple of weeks, is your team, St Johnstone, at home to Hamilton tomorrow.
Well, a lot of Saints fans think they down tools against Dundee a few weeks ago, but we won't go into that. I think it's quite fortunate. We've had a run of games where we've got we beat Motherwell twice. We then were slightly fortunate against St Mirren. Although I would argue overall we were just about the more dangerous team. They didn't play well, but we're now going into a team that's well below our level. And you're really hoping they can go and get some confidence out of this. You're hoping that he might go back to playing two up front, which he's not done for the last 3 weeks, and try and see if they can score some goals. That probably means we'll get beat 1-0. So I'm going hoping that we actually have a good performance, score a few goals, and get full of confidence, because the next game against Kilmarnock, which is at Kilmarnock, is actually probably more important in some respects. I would take 3 points against Kilmarnock to go out against Hamilton.
I know it's all cliche in football, Reagan, that every game's a cup final for St Johnstone now, even though it's the fifth round of the Scottish Cup. But I mean, I said to Alistair a few weeks ago on the group chat, and I think I said this on the show as well, that what would you rather prefer? Would you rather prefer getting 3 points against Motherwell in the league game, or beating Motherwell in the cup? And you said 3 points, but You're right, but I think like when you think of the overall picture, Reagan, I think you would want to win all your games if it's in the cup or league, because more times that if you win more games, that kind of breeds more confidence as well.
And I think I also will be the first to admit that, see, as much as people go, oh, we'd rather win this week than last week or whatever. See, the thing that St Johnstone beat Motherwell in the Scottish Cup, that's probably a good thing, because then the momentum started to build, then they beat Motherwell again, and then they go to St Mirren, and I was so glad they won. I put it on my X last week, because it's just great for the Scottish Premier League that St Johnstone went up to St Mirren last week at one, because it makes it more interesting, because now there's something like 5 points between.
You control yourself, Reagan. Was it that good?
Yes, it was.
We'll not talk about the penalty then.
No, not that. At the time, it clearly wasn't a penalty. On reflection, it might have been.
I think I'm just doing some promoting for the Scottish Premier League, but I just think it makes everything a bit more bunched up. But yeah, I think St Johnstone have done really well over the past few weeks, Michael. So I think Alistair's got every right to be happy.
I must say, I was saying to Reagan as well, but since Simo Valakari's come in, I just love listening to the guy. He's very kind of. I think it's because he doesn't come from Scotland, like outside the box, and he's not your usual type manager. But when you listen to him, he's actually fun to listen to, and some of the things that, because he was mentioning early on about, like, if you don't win the game, you're out of the cup, and I was that, well, who knew that, But he said today that it's going to be a tough game. It's a cup football. Anything could happen, but we need to focus on ourselves. And I suppose one bonus about tomorrow, Alaska, is you're not playing on an artificial park.
Yeah, no, that's true. Although the McDermott pitch is actually not in very good nick. It's deteriorated quite badly over the winter with the bad weather, so that doesn't help. It's really not as good as it should be, and it's been noted, shall we say. I think, if you go up to Hamilton and you play on that park there, which I've seen us play there many times, and I know this is a slightly different argument, but we should have no artificial surfaces in the top flight. It's just, I know all the arguments for them, and I know everything that people say about, but you can use it all the year round, you make more money, all that kind of stuff. It's just a game that should be played on grass at the top level. And going back to the game itself and your comments about our manager, one of the things I like about him is he doesn't make excuses particularly. He doesn't. I've discussed this with Des before. He doesn't come out and blame the referees. Even when there's a decision which may be contentious, he basically says, "Look,
Well, he should get the sack, Alaska. He should get the sack right away."
I just like listening to him, not Craig Levine. That's the main thing.
Sorry, Des.
No, I think he's very refreshing. He says it as it is, and as Alice and I had a conversation, it doesn't look to blame the referee. I think and it's probably me being an ex-referee, I think when managers and coaches blame the referees, it's just deflecting from their own mistakes in their own team. It's far too easy. Now, I guarantee you, if player X, a left back, has made a mistake in the dressing room, he'll let the player know, but he'll keep that in the dressing room and he can say, "Oh well, there was a foul messed up in the lead up to it." So referees will make mistakes, but I'll guarantee you, players make far more mistakes during the game than any referee will. But yes, Simo Valakari is a breath of fresh air. I really do like. I like his sort of punk look, and I like the what would you say, the cut of his jib, the way he talks. Yeah, and I really hope St Johnstone do stay up. Still is one of the coldest grounds in Scotland ever to go to be fair, mind you. But I love McDermott.
Not patching our broth.
No, but by the way, Montrose is colder.
Is it?
Oh yeah. I actually remember turning up at Broth. Who was it? It was a Broth versus Scottish Cup tie. A Broth versus Brecon. And as I'm walking into the ground, the committee and the board are actually saying to me, look, we've got these tickets here because the wind was howling from the sort of leisure land area, the amusements area down to the right, up to the left. Said, look, if you call the game off, we've already got the tickets ready to give back to the fans. But I always found Montrose really, really cold.
Before we let Alistair go, because I know that we've only got him for a short space of time tonight. He's not back to full fitness yet, so we need to give him we need to give him time before he gets for the match sharp. But before we let Alistair go, Regan, do you make any case for Hamilton tomorrow?
I mean, as much as I like John Rankin and what he's trying to do at Hamilton, I just think St Johnstone will be too strong over them than 90 minutes, Michael.
Yep, and so are you expecting a big home support tomorrow, Alistair? Because I've noticed as well that since Varicaz has come in, that the support has been up a wee bit at home.
It has, and there was a decent number went through to St Mirren. Obviously season tickets aren't valid, but slightly reduced in price, so that's good from that point of view. I think we probably will do, just simply because we've won the last 3 games, and that hasn't happened since, whatever euphemism you care to come up with. So yeah, I think there'll be a decent crowd, and I'm going to regret saying this. I really think we'll win, which probably means we'll get beat 1-0, because I've also beaten the games we should win. I remember Stenhousemuir? No, it was Berwick Rangers. No, to be fair, we won that replay. Stenhousemuir, when they drew at Perth, and we went to Stenhousemuir for the replay and got tonked 4-0, and it was absolutely dreadful. So yeah, that was the same season Aberdeen got beat as well by Stenhousemuir, if you remember. They were the real giant killer. So those kind of things make the cup, and they're great. It's like when Darvel beat Aberdeen, and all the Aberdeen fans are going past my house. They weren't very happy. It's brilliant, unless it's your team, in which case it's an absolute disaster. And I only need to say the words Inverness, Caledonian Thistle to the Celtic fans here, and they'll know exactly what I mean.
I remember.
Can I just, before I go, Michael, can I tell you a wee story about that one? Right? When I lived in Livingston, we were in an upper conversion, and the family below, they were Celtic fans, and the wee boy Joe was just. I think it was the first game he went to. His dad took him to this because he thought Celtic would obviously win by about 6-0 or something. And obviously Celtic didn't win. So his dad took Joe to the chip shop, and he's standing there with all these Celtic fans. And Joe says to his dad, "It's nice when the wee team wins sometimes, isn't it?" and let's just say that
his dad wasn't happy.
His dad wasn't happy. He got out fairly quickly. I think he probably got short change on his chips as well, to be honest.
Is Joe now an Inverness Cali fan?
I know his dad was trying to bring up to be an Albion Rovers fan, which is, well, I suppose it's like Uddingston version of Partick Thistle, but I suspect he's probably a Celtic fan by now. I don't know. So listen, gents, if you don't mind, I'm going to head off for domestic reasons, but thank you for your time. It's been really good fun. Enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you again soon, okay?
Thanks, Alistair, for joining us.
Okay, cheers just now. Cheers.
There we go. That's Alistair. I forgot to ask him if he's going to the game tomorrow. I think he will be going to the game tomorrow as well. So, Des, that's going to be a kind of interesting game, but I can moan to see a St Johnstone win just because that they want to keep winning, and you know yourself, winning breeds confidence.
Absolutely, and I think it's probably taking Simo Valakari a wee bit of time just to put his impression upon the team. But to win 3 on the bounce, going and playing a team in the division the year below you, a team in the division below you, they play on an AstroTurf pitch every second week. McDermott Park isn't looking the best at this moment in time. It's going to be a bit bubbly and bobbly. Confidence is high. Yeah, I'm looking at St Johnstone win for that one tomorrow.
Let's move on to the game tomorrow night at Parkhead at half 5 actually. It's
When at half 12 tomorrow night, then there's nobody watching that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Celtic again. I'll blame the cold. It's man flu I've got. So because nobody listens to me here in this house. But anyway, Celtic again. Brave Rovers at half 5 tomorrow night. This is the first show with Dig Rigging since the transfer window has been shut. Were you disappointed on Digland Day that Celtic never brought in anyone else?
I think Celtic will be absolutely fine. But it was more for me, Brendan Rodgers. I felt he would be disappointed, but he said on Thursday that he's not going to dwell on it. He's not going to think about it. And I think Celtic will be absolutely fine. 13 points clear, 13 games to go. I think they'll be totally fine. But yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers will still be disappointed about the transfer window. Obviously, he got Jota and he's got Tierney back. But I think if you let a player of the stature of Kyogo leave the building, I think you should be able to replace him. I think that'll be the only slight thing that Brendan Rodgers will moan about, because I think as well that the Celtic fans really enjoy Kyogo, and I think they just wanted somebody to bring on and so that they knew that they were getting the same sort of quality. But I think also, I mean, it's a great chance now for Johnny to step in there, the number 2 striker from Shamrock Rovers. So I think you can look at it 2 ways, Michael. Brendan Rodgers obviously not happy, but Celtic, I put it this way, I don't think Celtic would do it if the title race was close and Rangers were playing well and there was 3 points in it. I think because there's a 13-point deficit, then that's why Celtic board have stepped up into the 10 million for Kyogo.
Des, were you quite surprised of the timing that Kyogo went? Because I still stand by that Celtic needed to win at Villa Park. I still think he would have been a Celtic player. Obviously not now, because the window shut and the game was the game was the transfer window was shut after the Villa game. But do you think do you think and also the timing was a bit weird because he was there at Celtic Park one night and then the next minute he was away?
I think first and foremost, it's a Celtic transfer model, isn't it? How can you sign a player for, was it 4 million they brought him in for? I can't remember. You guys maybe be a better place to tell me.
Yeah, I think it was 4.5 million.
Right. So, and he's now 30 years old, and they're offering you 10 million. So he's paid for himself in the goals in the cups that he's won. So it's a no-brainer. He's brought Adamida in for 9.5 million in the summer, which is a massive outlay for Celtic. So he's basically saying, right, I'm going to, I don't know if Brendan Rodgers is saying it, but I'm sure the board are saying, we are taking this money and you're dealing with what you've got and you can then go and buy. I think what Rodgers is probably more disappointed, it's not the fact he's losing Kyogo, it's the fact that he's not getting anybody else in.
Yep.
It's probably the bigger factor. Would Celtic expect to have went to Villa Park and win that match against a team that's flying high in the Premiership, getting lots of great results, a very astute manager who's shown himself to be very, very successful in Europe with the teams he's been in, the Conference Leagues and the Europa Leagues he's won? I think it was a no-brainer. Celtic had to let him go. It was £10 million in for a 30-year-old with very little resale value on if it went on. Where I think the disappointment is they didn't get the couple of strikers that they were potentially linked with. That's where I think Rodgers would be disappointed with. Was Kyogo also on fire this year as much as he'd been before? And he's also said in the months prior, the way that Brendan Rodgers had said that he'd made it clear a number of months ago that he'd wanted to leave. So there's a player there that's maybe not as fully committed as you would have hoped and expected to. So I just think the range of circumstances meant that this was an absolute no-brainer. He had to go. Bank the 10 million. We'll go with Ida. We'll go with the young boy up front. Maeda can play up front as well, through the middle. You've got Kuhn on the right. You've got Jota on the left. I don't think it's really weakened Celtic that particularly much. All it's done is boost their bank balance.
I just wanted to ask Des before we actually go on to, by the way, there's a game tomorrow night. We'll go on to speak about that in a minute. But back in the day, Des, when you were taking charge of the game, you didn't hear of any pyros getting into the games or pyros getting onto the park. The reason I'm saying that is Celtic, the Celtic basically avoided a ban for the game against Bayern Munich away, and I think maybe this is Celtic's very, very last warning. I don't know how many warnings they might take before they take heat in the game. But I just wanted to ask you, Des, because back in the day when you were officially eating at games, you would never have heard that in the Scottish game. So do you think it's a kind of like society kind of change? And I'm not talking about Celtic fans, I'm talking about all fans as well. So first of all, I mean, what do you think of that?
So the pyros had just started to come in when I was involved, and also you go to matches, you get a security briefing prior to it, and what you would find back then, they used to have these buckets of sand that were strategically placed around the pitch, and the health and safety guy would come in, talk to you beforehand, and say, look, if I think they used to call it a flare, I don't think pyrotechnic was the word they used at that moment in time, but if an inflammable object arrives on the pitch, do not approach it, stay away from it, and they would go and douse it with sand and what they have, and to stop it basically. So that was the sort of things we were getting there. Nowadays, I think it probably is a societal thing, and it's not down to Celtic, it's not down to Aberdeen or Falkirk. It seems to be every club has this wee sort of set of, what do they call themselves, ultras, that want to create a scene. And yes, by the way, very much encourage the safe use of, not pirating, but the safe use of fans to garner an atmosphere. So I think it's brilliant. And
when I go to watch like Vale Clyde, or I go and watch Rutherglen or anybody in junior football, they've all got ultras as well.
Yeah. I'm a Renfrew fan. I go and watch Renfrew most weeks when I'm not busy. All these clubs have it. Bring the drums, bring the flags, bring the singing, bring the songs. Why are you bringing fireworks? All that's going to do is potentially harm someone. So Celtic have been very fortunate. They'd had a warning. They've now had another warning. They're lucky that I think everybody expected the fans to be banned from travelling to Munich. So yeah, they've been very fortunate. I would just like to think that the vast majority of the sensible fans, and it is 99.9% of all fans, have a moral compass and moral responsibility. You don't bring things that are going to. Why would you do? You're damaging your club money. That's the club are paying for your actions, and it's money out. It's money out of the club that could be used elsewhere, within academies, could be used within staff within the club. I just think it's pretty idiotic, to be honest.
I mean, I think Celtic actually banned a supporter who took in a flare about, was it 2 years ago, Michael, against a match against Rangers. So I think now that these actions are being taken by clubs, I think if people know that they're getting a 2-year ban or whatever, then they'll stop doing it right away, you know?
Yeah, well, that's Reagan. We're talking to sensible people here who are football fans. We want to go enjoy it. We enjoy the spectacle of it. Drop your tifos, play your bands, play your stuff. See if you're going to cause my club a fine or potential injure somebody. Come on.
There's a game on tomorrow night. I don't know if you You know that, guys. And it's not 12:30, so that well picked up on days as well. That's why
I'll make sure I wait for that one.
Yeah, that's why you're on the show, always keeping me on my toes. That's good. 5:30 tomorrow. Celtic again play for us, and Brendan Rodgers said today that it would be nice to see Barry Robson back, because he said that he actually did well up at Aberdeen. But yeah, so Barry Robson was a good servant to Celtic in Scotland, and I suppose Dundee United. And am I right in saying they played for Inverness as well? Or?
Yes.
Yeah,
He went from Inverness to Dundee United.
And then to Celtic. Yeah, Celtic was that kind of last game before he went to Middlesbrough, I think it was as well.
Stratton took it in Middlesbrough.
We Scott Scott McDonald. Listen,
Kevin
I'm not.
Thompson, Chris Boyd, Andy Halliday.
Yeah. I'm not sure of my football knowledge here, guys, but knowledge is a bomb, as they say. So Reagan, Celtic against Raith Rovers tomorrow, and I suppose if you're a Raith Rovers fan, you would be feeling to go to Celtic Park anyway, but especially after Wednesday night's performance.
Yeah, because as Des was saying earlier, I mean, Celtic can do that to anybody in Scottish football. Celtic have done that to RB Leipzig in the Champions League this season. So I think Raith Rovers, they'll probably realise Barry will know it's the toughest possible match that they could be playing in. Obviously, they got a very good result away to Falkirk in the last round, which people are glad to see. But I think Barry's a very good manager, but I think he'll know that the test that Celtic bring, and I think he'll be mindful that to try and stay in the match for as long as possible and see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Barry Robson done particularly well when he was that interim manager spell up at Aberdeen. And for whatever reason, obviously, we're seeing now Jimmy Tillane going through hard patches. Barry Robson's not the only manager up there to experience a change in fortunes.
I always thought Barry Robson got the sack too early.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. And I think that the level he's went into now shows that he's ambitious. He's going to a club as well that, under Ian Murray last year, they were right up there to the last minute. So they're a club that's got a good solid foundation. I actually refereed him a couple of months ago at the Masters up in Aberdeen, and he was still as feisty as a player as he'd always been. But I rate him. I really rate him. I think if he can transmit his own passion and his own abilities and dedication across to the players that he's got with him, and he's also got a very good backroom team with him as well. Raith Rovers can go there, not expecting a free hit, but I like to think the Raith Rovers there can go there and give themselves a right good showing. Look what happened in the Coca-Cola Cup all those years ago. Raith Rovers caused one of the biggest upsets in Scottish football by beating Celtic in a final. So I'm sure that'll be getting mentioned a few times.
Gordon DL, where did he go? I've never heard of the guy for years. Brendan Rodgers said today, Reagan, that that's my phone going. He says that it'll be a tough game, but we need to focus on ourselves, and that's it. Because obviously, if you're going to be at the big club, you like to play big games. In terms of Wednesday night against Bayern Munich in the second leg to come as well. But also, domestic football is important as well. And if Celtic wants to win the treble, well, this is one step on the way that they would like to win.
Yeah, it's probably the best match for them. I did hear today that Schmeichel's going to be out, so the number 2, Sven Swallow will play. So it'll be interesting for Celtic fans to see him, because it's the first time that he's properly played at Celtic Park. I'm sure many fans won't go along just to see him playing, but I think Brendan Rodgers will know that Celtic have got one hand on the title, and they've obviously beat Rangers in penalty and the Premier Sports Trophy at the start of Christmas. So I think in terms of this match, I think it'll be a second string Celtic 11. I think Jeffrey Slip will play. I think Brendan Rodgers will try and maybe bring in Dane Murray as well. He might even throw Johnny Kenny in this to see what he's like.
I would think that this is probably an ideal game for Johnny Kenny. He's proven that he's been doing well overseas. I would like to think Ida would get another go. I think Ida needs games because he's been playing second fiddle to Hugo. And I know it doesn't look as if he's been a £9.5 million signing, but it's very difficult to come on to a game with 20 minutes ago and not impact it. I thought he was excellent against Aston Villa, and I think these are the games that, do you know what, keep the boys' confidence high, keep them playing, and give them that opportunity to go get a couple of goals. See if we get a couple of goals tomorrow. Again, confidence goes up, but he's more confidence getting a player. You're expecting to score. So, yeah, I think there can be a few changes in the game, but I would certainly play Kenny. I would certainly give Ida another chance. I would probably try and rest Callum McGregor. I would rest McGregor, Hatate. I would rest as well. You've got enough within your midfield to keep it going. Engels, I still think needs games. I think Engels needs to get used to the robustness of football over here. I would play him. Paulo Bernardo, get him involved as well. Alistair Johnston, yep, you could probably put Ralston in ahead of him as well. So you're dropping very good players and still bringing in very good players. So I think I would like to think Celtic are good enough to do it, but I think this is an opportunity out with the league where Rodgers is getting an opportunity to give players games time and boost confidence.
One man to look out for, Reagan, when you're going to the game tomorrow is Finlay Pollock. Graham pointed out in the chat that he's at Red Rovers on loan from Hearts.
I don't know too much about him, but I am sure I'm sure if Barry thinks he's got a good player, then I'll be looking forward to watching him. But am I right in thinking that Lewis Vaughan is still a big part of Red Rovers' desk? Is Lewis Vaughan still?
I'm not entirely sure. I've not followed him terribly closely, so I would be hazarding a guess. So I'm not going to hazard a guess. But yeah, certainly when he was there before, he was always a big player.
I think it'll be Lewis Vaughan will be looking out for Michael, but I think that Pollock, I'll be looking at watching him tomorrow when I'm at the match. But I think Red Rovers will go into it thinking, right, if we can keep the score down, and then hopefully the longer the game goes, they can grow into it and start to build a presence in the match.
I think probably the first 15-20 minutes is the most crucial period for Red Rovers.
And then take it in kind of stages, basically, you know. Yeah.
Split the game into sections and say this is where we need to be.
Maybe like 20 minutes and know and school. Okay, so that's Celtic and Red Rovers. I thought 12:30. That's when the highlights on day. That's
Is this Saturday night or Sunday night?
Monday night. I'm trying to get myself. I'm trying to get myself out of the hole here, but it's not working as well.
You keep hold of the shovel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the comedy festival is coming up in Glasgow, so I'm definitely have a gig at that. So that's why I'm kind of being a bit funny. But anyway,
is that a one-man solo show?
Yeah. It's a sit down one day. It's not a stand up. So let's move on to talk about one of the. Well, I wouldn't say the most exciting games of the round, but I mean I wouldn't say that Kenny Rock, Livingston fans or Cove Rangers fans going to the game. Am I right? Charles Grizz at Cove Rangers, yeah.
No, he's
at Celtic.
Right, okay.
Paul Hartley's the manager at Cove.
maybe that's why I was getting mixed up. As well. So Livingston's going well, Des, because obviously they had I don't know if you saw it last leg of Mike. They had a decent performance and a decent win at Falkirk, and then tomorrow they've got a chance to get into the quarterfinals at home as well.
I think Livingston, they didn't start the season particularly well, but do you know what? They've went about their business quite steadily recently, and they've just sort of creeped back up in there. And yeah, they're doing well. And Davy Martindale will listen. It's a home tie in a Scottish Cup. There's money to be made there. Livingston are always looking to make as much as they can. I would make Livingston favourites for this tomorrow.
Yeah, you could only see one team winning this, Reagan.
I think David Martindale's done a great job this season. I mean, obviously, I'm glad to see that he's still at Livingston. I know he's been linked with a few jobs in the past and he's decided to stay there. And I think he's proven again that he's a very good manager, because it was only this time last Friday that I tipped Falkirk to go up there and to win. But no, David Martindale proved me wrong again. But I mean, I think this will be not as straightforward as people are saying, but I think if Livingston play to the way that they should, then I think they will advance to the quarterfinals, and then the thing for the thing for them is they'll be hoping that possibly they can get a Ayr United in the semi, or maybe even an Airdrie, and then get themselves to a semi-final, a national Scottish Cup semi-final. You know, because I think we in Postecoglou's last season at Celtic, it was Falkirk and Inverness that was the semi-final.
Yeah.
So they'll be hoping that they can get in there and hopefully try and go as far as possible.
Okay, let's move on to the game on Sunday then. It is Aberdeen and Dunfermline, and it was written on the stars, Des, when this came out, because I think a few days later, or was it before, Jimmy Calderwood kind of like passed away. So I think this is a good fitting tribute to Jimmy Calderwood, and I'm not sure if the fans are organising something before the game, and I think this is why maybe the game's on the TV. Again, maybe they're hoping for a kind of like upset as well. But you were telling us last week about you had a few memories of Jimmy Calderwood.
Yeah, he was certainly a very, very bright character, a lovely man. I've never had a crossword with him. He's probably a few crosswords with me, mind you, but I never had any with him. There was an incident I recall that it was Willie Young, and it was Dunfermline against, I'm going to say Falkirk, but I might be wrong. But the score was 0-0 at half time, and it was becoming a bit of a bored draw, so to speak. And Willie called the two guys to the dressing room, and he said, "Look, guys, I've just got to tell you, I've just had an urgent fax from FIFA here." He said, "And there's been an amendment to the laws of the game." And Calderwood and Jimmy Nick and they're saying, "What do you mean? You can't change laws halfway through a game?" He said, "No, I'm telling you, it's time stamped. There's a change to the laws of the game." He's like, "What is it? What is it?" He says, I'm just going to read it out to you so you're all fully understand. He says, it says right here that during a game of football, both teams must have a shot at goal. Both teams must attempt to try and win the bloody game. So it was fine. But no, a lovely man. I think he was very underrated as a manager. I mean, I've certainly watched a couple of things I've seen online from the time that he was down in Birmingham. Really, really highly rated as a player. Then went over to Holland, learning a new language, playing in a foreign league as a Scotsman, which was very unheard of in those days. and then forged a very, very credible coaching career over there. Came out of Dunfermline when probably people didn't really know who he was. Done fantastic, and up to Aberdeen, carried on as well. So I would like to think that both clubs and both sets of fans would make the effort tomorrow, and I'm sure they will mark it in some way. And I like to think that most of Scottish football would mark it in some way because he was a character. I don't think very many people have a bad word to say about him, and it's just such a sad loss, and certainly the way that it transpired over him for the past couple of years. But yeah, terrific man for Scottish football, and I'm sure he'll be sadly missed by many.
And I mean, I remember when he took Aberdeen to play against Bayern days at Petrontre as well.
Yep.
Remember that?
I think there's also a lot of folk remember his clash with Jamie Langfield in an Aberdeen post-season trip as well. I think a few beers had been taken and a few truth were told. But again, that was something that was overcome. But yeah, no, I think he was terrific, and I think Jimmy Nicholl was very good for him as well. They came as a partnership.
I think as well that obviously the headlines has been written before the game because of Jeremy Calderwood, but it's Stag as well, Regan, not because he's passed away and all that, but also it's a must-win game for Aberdeen because I do not see how many times Aberdeen is going to 14 games already this season. I don't think Aberdeen would buy going out the Scottish Cup, especially at home as well.
Yeah, I know. I think if they go up to like Dunfermline and get beat, then there's maybe a little excuse like a kind of small stadium, a big packed crowd, the kind of everything on top of you. But if you're at home, you've got the bulk of the possession, the bulk of chances. I think there would be a big outcry. And especially because of the start of the season. I mean, if Aberdeen didn't have the start of the season, then there's got to be serious questions to the manager because 14 matches, and I think if it was to go 15 matches, and for them not to get through to the quarterfinals, I think it would be an absolute disaster. And I think even Jeremy would start to get worried because, like, as much as he can say in the press conferences, right, things are getting better, things are improving and stuff like that. But if you're going out to lower league opposition, it's a bad look. And Aberdeen fans only need to go back to 2023 when they went out to Darvo in the Scottish live on the BBC then. So Aberdeen recently have not had good memories in the Scottish Cup, but they'll be hoping to get back to it. And I suppose the big thing for him is he can say to the players, look, we're only if we go through this match, we're only one game away from Hampden, and then anything can happen, and then they can potentially win a trophy. Because they managed to show last season, I was at the game when Celtic Aberdeen went to penalties in the semi-final. What a game that was. I remember Joe Hart stepping up for the penalty, and then
missed it.
You missed it.
Yeah.
I would say that, to echo what Regan's saying, Jimmy Tillane was, I wouldn't say fortunate because he also showed he was a good manager, but see if you reversed Aberdeen's season, would he still be in a job?
No.
I think the only reason he's still in the job is because of the Scottish Cup.
And I think they've obviously, the reason he's still in a job is because they've invested heavily in him and brought players in from abroad as well. But if you'd started the season on a negative 14 results, he's not going to be there. The cup is pretty much the only glimmer of hope that they have, because the way they're playing is they're not going to finish in the top six. They'll be struggling to get the top six and then a European place. But
do you not think as well, Des, is I know it's embarrassing that Aberdeen don't make the top six if they don't make it this season for, I think it's 3 seasons back to back, and that's not very good for a team of Aberdeen size. But I remember saying to Regan at the time when when Steven Glass, was that the Aberdeen last manager to get the sack? That you know, if it doesn't go right for Jimmy Killeen now, then the fans would be looking at him and Dave Cormack as well, because don't forget, Dave Cormack's appointed 3 managers, including Scott Brown, and we know where that ended up.
Yeah, I think Dave Cormack has to take a lot of the. You don't want a portion of blame. He has to take a portion of the responsibility for the people that he's appointed. Everyone was saying right at the start of the season, wow, Jimmy Killeen has done so well. Peter Levin, his assistant first team coach, is a very good friend of mine's. He is very impressed by him. But why has it fallen off a cliff? It's really, really strange to understand teams that were beaten at the start of the year now, because we're all in the sort of second round of fixtures. Why is it falling off? The cup is the mainstay that they can look for just now. And as I reiterate, if this was a reversal of the season and he'd lost 14 and then won 11, he wouldn't have the opportunity to win 11 because he'd have been gone after the 14.
Yeah, and I think it just shows you how quickly football could change there. Because I remember after 10 games, Peter Levin was talking to St Johnstone, talking to Rafe Rovers. Everything was rosy in the garden, and with regards to Jimmy as well. And like, I think, like Michael's saying, a lawyer is going to come back to Dave, the chairman, but like you said earlier, Dave is back to man. See, every manager that Aberdeen's had over the past 2 or 3 years, Dave has backed them. So you can blame Dave all you want, but he's backed the managers.
He's, as I said, it's not about apportioning blame to anybody. I don't live in a blame culture. I don't blame people for doing something wrong or blame people for getting things wrong. It's taking responsibility, and it's Dave Cormack's responsibility as the current incumbent of Aberdeen Football Club. It's his responsibility, along with his board, to appoint the right people. I hope Jimmy Killeen can turn it around, but his track record up until this point has not been particularly glorious. So I hope Killeen gets it right. I hope it gets it right for Peter as well. Aberdeen are a massive club. They're a one club city as well. So they've got massive support. They've got massive backing, but unfortunately, it's not came to fruition over the past number of years. But it has to be a reason for that and a responsibility for that.
See, for me though, I don't know what the actual reason is, but because straight after that game, they went to Easter Road. I watched it. It was a Tuesday night. They were 3-2 up with a minute to go, and they drew that game 3-3. And ever since then, they've just fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
it's just been totally different. And I was on the show at the start of the season saying, I think Aberdeen could challenge Rangers, they could challenge Celtic, and the whole thing just seems to have died a little bit.
I think every day after the first couple of months, and then obviously went down to Celtic, and it was a draw, wasn't it? Was it 1 each? They held Celtic to a draw. I think everybody was expecting Aberdeen to be. Was it 2 each?
Yeah, they were 2-0 down at half time, and they come back, and in fact Aberdeen nearly won that game, if I remember rightly.
Up for a VAR call.
Yeah.
I think everybody at that moment in time thought that Aberdeen were potentially the second force in Scottish football at that moment in time, because also Rangers were going through a sticky spell.
Okay, let's talk about the game. After the Aberdeen Dunfermline game is at Ibrox, and it's a big Glasgow derby. Reagan, Rangers against Queen's Park.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this because Rangers need to build on the momentum they've had the last few weeks. I was a bit surprised they got rid of Zach Loveless, who's went to Millwall. I think he's went to Millwall with Martin Canning and Alex Neil, who's down there. But I was a bit surprised because I know Fleet come on showed a lot of faith in him. He brought him on against Manchester United and obviously that Belgium team last week. But yeah, I mean, also they got rid of Matondo as well. So I'm just looking to see who really steps up for Rangers. But I think this could be a game, Des, for Bailey Rice.
Sorry, I was there. Yep, he seems to be gathering a lot of interest. And I know Barry Ferguson was in the papers today, giving him a lot of kudos. Yeah, Rangers have get rid of got a few big earners off the wage bill. This is probably the best opportunity to blood somebody like Bailey Rice into the team and say, well, do you know what? You're at home. You're playing against a championship team. Go and show what you can do. I mean, the young boy's only 18. If he's going to take his chance, now's the ideal time to go and take it. I would expect you've got to expect Rangers to win this. You've got to expect Rangers to win this. Will Rangers make changes? See, if I was Rangers, I'd be playing Dessers. Get them goals.
Yeah.
Get them goals. Just like we spoke about Ida. Get them goals. Give them the opportunity. Keep playing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I would also maybe look at bringing in the goalkeeper Liam Kelly again as well, because I'm still not convinced by Butland. I don't think Butland's the same player that he was last year, and I think Kelly's probably got more longevity in him.
See, the thing is with Dessers, I think Dessers is a good player.
There's a player in there somewhere.
See some of the finish he had. See that game last weekend against Dundee United? That goal was brilliant. It really was.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, he's got technique. And again, strikers breed on confidence, don't they? So keep throwing him back in there.
I think Andy, as a resident Rangers fan on the show, he basically said he's a kind of like enigma, Des, as well.
Is that no strike partner?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I always make the point to him, Des, as well, that it could be frustrating if you're a Rangers fan, if you watch him at home and away. But it would be worse if he was a striker not getting into these positions.
Yeah, that's when you're more worried, isn't it? People used to say Alan Acoist or Chris Boyd, Alan Acoist, they done nothing out the box. Doesn't matter what they do at the box, get the position and they finish the goals. So I think Dessers is probably a decent all-round game. But you looked at his techniques last week and the goals he's putting away. He's got it in there somewhere. So I think he's had a wee bit of a hard time. I would just keep playing him and see if he doesn't take the opportunities. Then you've got the evidence to say, right, okay, you're now our starter.
Reading that, I thought Cam will get Cam Davison make a good point this week when it says that they're psychic about the game, but he says that there's no point of them going there and just to make up the numbers. So, if he's talking like that there, then they must be. I'm not saying that they'll be having a go at Rangers, but we also have what happened about 2 seasons ago, was it, when Packet Thistle went there and like they had a go, and in fact Thistle nearly won that game if I'm right then, and that was that Ian McCall got the sack, and I thought that was a bit weird. Remember, he get a phone call or email that night or whatever. So he's not coming to make up the number, so that's good to see.
And I think also, Michael, I think he's got a very good record in the Scottish Cup as well.
He never went to make up the numbers when he was at a considered lower level team at St Johnstone. He went and won both national cups in the one season. So I don't think he'd be scared of going and taking on reputations of any club.
Yeah, no, I mean, did you not go to Ibrox, and was it the quarterfinals that they beat Rangers? And remember the lockdown season days, and they won double? Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying he doesn't have a reputation of bowing down to other teams' so-called grandeur and size. I mean, who would have thought St Johnstone winning the Scottish Cup and winning the Scottish League Cup in the one season when he's got to beat all in front of him? So it clearly shows that very healthily he doesn't have a respect for the perceived bigger team, but he has a respect for the club, obviously. But he then distills the belief within his own team that, as you said there, you're not here to make up numbers. Go and take part in the match. Go and take part in the game. And what you're doing as well is you're showcasing yourself for a potential better move. And he's showcasing Callum Davidson for a better move because, let's be honest, Callum Davidson with the CV he's got potentially should be bigger than a championship club.
And I can interviewed him a few months ago, Des, and and a lot of people says that he's a quiet guy, but he knows that he's a football man as well.
Well, you don't play for Scotland and Blackburn Rovers and play at the level he's played at if you're not a football man and you don't know what you're doing. So he's got vast amounts of experience as a player. He's now got vast amounts of experience as a manager as well. So yeah, Callum Davidson, this, not to say that using Queen's Park as a stepping stone, because Queen's Park have obviously got massive ambitions and they've got massive resources potentially available to them. So good on him. I don't think this is going to be just as clean cut as everybody thinks. I think there could be potentially a wee twist and turn, but I still fully expect Rangers to win the match.
And I suppose, Reagan, this is the last kind of real chance that Rangers would have to win in the silverware and get to the final, because Philip Clement said that it's a big challenge for us, and this is one of our goals to win. But we are in a good place at the moment, and we want to continue.
I think in terms of Fleet Clement, he want to try and win a bar silverware, especially because the Rangers fans have been on his back. But I think in terms of Fleet Clement, the Rangers have won a trophy under him before, and they're willing to get back to Hampden. They're 2 games away from the final if they win this match on Sunday, which I fully expect them to. So I think Rangers will be going in there full of thinking that they're going in there to make sure they go through the quarterfinals.
Yeah, no, exactly, and yeah, Graham remembered me as well. Not to bring your favourite subject up, Des. This was before VAR, but was there not a controversial incident in that game as well? Was there not a kind of goal or for Packet Thistle get ruled out? I can't quite remember
I think something happened. Rangers scored, and then Rangers let Partick Thistle scored. Rangers let Partick Thistle score, but Stephen Gerrard was very upset.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was a shy, wasn't it?
A shy?
Aye.
A throw in?
Yeah,
I'm just picking you up all night, Michael, here.
Yeah, I'm showing my age now, Dave.
No, I'm showing the school teacher in me.
Yeah.
Listen, I still call it a shy. Don't worry about that. I still call a goal kick a bye kick.
A bye kick? Oh, yeah. Oh, I think that was and then I think we done a show that night as well. That's how long I've been here. That's why I'm going a bit baldy at the moment. But and I think it was 9 o'clock or something like Ian McCall get the sack, because I remember somebody texting the group. That's how long the show's been going, Des, by the way. Just to let you in for.
I'm just in a pair of Pampers. I'm a baby here.
Yeah, that's why we signed you for 5 years, but we'll sell you for even more.
Listen, you'll be giving me a free transfer in about 2 weeks.
But no, so I'm looking forward to seeing Queen's Park as well, because over the years, Queen's Park has pumped. I'm not sure who's pumped a lot of money to them, but they have kind of got a lot of money pumped into them. And was there not a rumor about the head of the recruitment? They got somebody from, was it Holland or something?
Yeah, From what I believe, it's Willie Hockey who's putting a lot of money through the city refrigeration group, who's putting money into Queen's Park. I've got some friends who support Queen's Park. My next door neighbour is actually a season ticket holder, so he keeps me abreast of what's going up there. If he's watching, Gordon, I'm sure you'll enjoy your weekend and your visit. Yeah, so no, and I've got other friends that support it, but Queen's Park now are a very, very well-run club. The women's team manager is a friend of mine, Craig Joyce, and their under 21s B team, Sean Crichton, who has been around the SPL for a long time. So they're building a very good infrastructure. From what I believe, I think the Dutch boy who was head of recruitment, I think he's went back. He's went back to Holland.
It wasn't there for a long time, Des. It was like a
Not
few weeks,
overly
a
long.
few months. No,
But they're a very progressive club, and they always rely on their youth teams. Always rely on the team bringing
it's
through.
the Leanne.
Leanne Dempster.
Yeah, she's still there.
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Yeah, because so Rangers against Queen's Park, but also one more game to talk about. Des, is the game on Monday night, and this is a kind of like old-fashioned cup tie as well, only because for the tight parking and all that at St Mirren, against Hearts.
See, this is a difficult one for me. Do I go with my heart or do I go with my head? St Mirren, they've been on a wee bit of a roller coaster over the last couple of weeks.
Was that a kind of laugh moment when you said you go for your Hearts?
I would rather go with my heart, which is black and white. Well, my heart's blue and white with Renfrew, obviously, but St Mirren being my local team, and where I would go and watch my games with my kids. I would love to see St Mirren win this because I think they need a wee lift. Stephen Robinson's had a wee hard run of games recently, and not maybe getting the rub of the green. I thought it was I know Alice was on earlier. I thought it was a clear penalty last week in the St Johnstone St Mirren game. But Hearts are now starting to find a wee bit of form, aren't they? They're scoring goals. They're looking a lot better formation under Neil Critchley. Penrice at left back's probably the best fullback in Scottish football at this moment in time. They just seem to be getting things. Right. So Kabungu up as well. I think it's going to be a difficult night for St Mirren. I'll probably be at the game, to be fair. I probably will go along. I'll probably not get back in for saying this, but I think Hearts are probably the favourites for this tie.
Graham said, by the way, say that Kabungu, he's not a bad player, actually.
He looks good.
Goals. Yeah, he is. Physical play as well. But yeah, I mean, Hearts has basically turned a corner, basically, you know. They've had a kind of weird season, Des, because when Critchley came in, they had about, 4 or 5 games unbeaten, and then they went through a wee skitty spell, and then over the past few weeks, I mean, to be honest, this is how mad the league is, right? They can still make the top 6.
Yeah, and I think they genuinely think they will. I don't have any fear for Hearts, just like I don't have any fear for Hibs. I think they were in a false position at the start of the year. I think their squads were far better than their results were giving them. But again, the Hibs board stuck with David Gray, gave a young manager time, and again, that's now looking to prove the right decision.
And you could probably argue the point that Aberdeen's basically gave Hibs and Hearts the kind of out of jail card.
Yeah. Other teams' loss of form has coincided exactly the right time for Hearts and Hibs coming into form.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I mean, in St Mirren, I was speaking to our usual contributor at the show, Robbie, big St Mirren fan. But I was saying to him about like what's happened off the park, like with Sean Rooney and all the rest of it. I don't think that really helps St Mirren this season because that's kind of like overshadowed. I don't know if Jay would agree, days, but that's kind of like overshadowed that St Mirren's kind of up and down performances this season.
See, I disagree then, Michael, because what players do off the field of play, the manager hasn't really got any control over. Where it would make an impact on the team is the consistency of the players being eligible to play. But these players had taken themselves out of that, so the manager's got to obviously Tanser at left back. I think Tanser was a brilliant player. Mark O'Hara's coming back into form. I just think it's been a combination of bad luck and just not being able to string a set of results together. What the players have done off the field of play, I've got no privy knowledge to it. None of us have. That's between them and their employers and what's went on. I think it shows a real lack of professionalism if these things have went on off the field of play, because it's then impacted upon their employment, and obviously somebody else has got to pick that up. I just think that Stephen Robinson has been very unfortunate that he's not had the same pool of players to pick from every week consistently, had to make changes. And I like that too. We've also know that they're not very happy with VAR and what's been going on with VAR this year. And Dundee United have come out strongly on it. St Mirren have came out first, maybe not quite as strongly as Dundee United. But I've still got faith in Stephen Robinson as a manager. I think he's a fantastic manager. He builds teams, he gets them results, he gets them up the league. So I've got no fears that they'll be struggling. I'd just like to see them maybe string 2, 3, 4 results back to back and get back on that positive bounce again.
And it's the same as we said about St Johnstone. The one of them kind of bleeds the habit, and I think that's what St Mirren kind of like really needs at the moment, because we were talking about Hearts a minute ago, but I mean, St Mirren could miss out in the top 6. I
know they could, and considering how well was being in Europe this year a hindrance to them, being back so early, and they've maybe picked things. Maybe. But don't say that to anybody in Paisley who is a St Mirren fan, because they had an absolute roller coaster, loving it, what they were doing. But in February, now between February and April, this is when the season is going to be decided. These next 2 months. This
is that kind of business end of the season days. I mean, you could probably get away with losing. I mean, look, let's be honest, football fans don't like losing games, but I mean, you could probably get away with maybe, drawing points in, say, September, October time. But this is when it really actually counts, and this is when the money get handed out to the bottom 6 teams or the top 6 teams and all the rest of it. And teams like St Mirren, I mean, Stephen Robertson alluded to it this week that when they go further in the competition, it's more financial for St Mirren as well.
Yeah, and this is then what St Mirren can then plan their budget for the following season. So they're in a league now. You let go the top 3, you let go the bottom 2. The league that they're playing around, they've got to take points off one another here. And this is where St Mirren always seem to step up really well against Rangers and Celtic. But they now have to start taking their points off Hearts, Hibs, Dundee United, Motherwell. These are the teams that are going to be vying for the positions that they want to be in. So they're hoping to take points off them and then see them drop points against other teams as well. So yeah, it'll be very interesting next sort of 6 to 8 games.
Okay, let's check in on the Six Nations tomorrow, because there's games on Italy against Wales. Wales would need to get back here winning ways after getting beat by 43-0 last week. Who could see that one coming? And our old neighbours across the road, England are playing France. That is a 4:45 kickoff, and Italy against Wales, 2:15 kickoff. On Sunday, Des, there's only one game in town, and that's in Murrayfield, Scotland against the favourites, Ireland.
My heart, again, I'm going down heart and head. My heart says Scotland, obviously, but my head says Ireland.
Yeah, because Ireland's are basically favourites to win. I mean, they did not get to the semi. Was it the final of the World Cup last year? And they
Uh,
get beat.
yeah, I
Or
think
was
it was, and you had the boy Farrell, who was the coach, who's now went to the Lions.
yeah. So no, it's going to be quite interesting that the games this weekend. Hopefully, Scotland's win, and the 2 weeks we've got the old enemy against England. Right, that's all for tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Alaska. Thanks to Reagan. But the backbone of the team is me and Des tonight. We put in a full shift. So thanks for Des for joining me tonight. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Thanks to all your comments. And we will do it again here on the locker room.